Hello and welcome again to another episode of Rolling with My Special Friends. Today it's another treat for all of us out there to get to meet another special person in this world doing special things for people, just out there enjoying life as well as sharing that life he has with other folks. Mr. Derek is the founder of Camo Dreams, Inc. They've been going at this thing, did we just decide 14 years? Is that right, sir? No, or 18 years? 18 years. Okay, well, I think people want to jump right off into that. You know, when you hear the word Camo Dreams, I start thinking camouflage and how much pretty clothes I could get and all that stuff. I know there's a whole lot more to this than that. So just jump right in and tell us what Camo Dreams is.
So Camo Dreams is a nonprofit that I started back in 2004 to take kids with special needs on dream outdoor trips. The first kid, I actually got in touch with David Sullivan with Buckmaster's American Deer Foundation. And he said, "What can you do?" And I said, "Anything that a kid wants to do, you know, hunting, fishing, any kind of hunting, whatever." And so we started off with a deer hunt, and it's grown over the last 18 years. We do whitetail, we do elk, we do fallow deer, exotics, alligator hunting, hog hunting, fishing. We do several offshore fishing trips out of Panama City, and I've got some volunteers that are wanting us to go to the Keys and do some marlin fishing and everything. But anything that a kid wants to do anywhere in the continental U.S., we can make it happen.
Wow. So that truly is what you say it is, a dream. If a kid can think it up, you can make it happen.
Yep, absolutely.
Now,
Our biggest was to Alaska for a caribou hunt.
holy moly. Now, how in the world, obviously that's going to take a special kid. Not every kid out there in a wheelchair is going to be able to do that type of hunt. How are there also, you know, so people know it, there are limitations to these things, right? I mean, I can dream up that I want to go caribou hunt, but it's going to be hard for me to do it.
Yeah, and the kids that want to do stuff like that, like I've got a kid in South Carolina that wanted to get his Grand Slam of sheep. And I said, okay, well, you know, you got a Rocky Mountain Bighorn. They come down to the fields and stuff. You can get to them. A Dall sheep's going to be totally different. A Desert Bighorn, you know, can we backpack you in someplace? That may not be feasible. So, you know, let's look at the reality of what we can actually do with your physical limitations. But for the most part, if a kid can dream it up and they want to, you know, and I've had parents that didn't think that things were possible for their kids. You know, I've got a dad here in the Panhandle of Florida that didn't think it was possible for his son with cerebral palsy to do any kind of hunting. And we've now got him set up with a sip and puff. I helped him get a redneck blind. It's mounted on a trailer. He can take it on their personal hunting lease and take his son hunting with him now. And Braden's killed a whitetail with us, and then I accompanied them on a axis hunt. His dad bought him an axis hunt, and I brought the special equipment before we gave him his own sip and puff system so that they could do their own hunts.
Wow. So now to kind of back this thing up just a little bit to where the Camo Dreams started, and we said 18 years. I know for everybody out there listening that they want to know there's probably some real passion behind why people start foundations and what motivates them to do that. Most people just don't wake up and a foundation all of a sudden hit them. What in your heart, what in your mind drove you to start the Camo Dreams and give other people their dream?
So I've been a outdoorsman my entire life. Ended up doing it for a career as a wildlife biologist. And in 2003, my mom was diagnosed with her fourth cancer. She had started off in the mid 70s with Hodgkin's lymphoma. She had had skin cancer. And in 2003, she was diagnosed with throat cancer, squamous cell carcinoma. And she spent a month and a half in Birmingham at UAB. All of our friends and family took good care of my family, and I wanted to do something to give back. So it sitting around thinking about things, you know, just life in general, what my life was going to be like. Because family history medically, isn't all that great on both sides. And so I said, I want to do something kind of like Make-A-Wish, kids that want to go hunting and fishing, and give back. So I contacted Make-A-Wish, was my first, organization that I reached out to. And they were like, oh no, that's, we don't do anything dangerous. So I had a friend that was watching Buckmasters one weekend, and he saw the life hunt that they do. And so I reached out to David Sullivan, and that started the ball rolling.
Well, and that's very inspiring in that you take away from things that happen in your life every day to be able to push forward and help other people. And I know that, having that passion, for your mother and the things that she was going through really, drove you to start this foundation and get started. You touched on it just a little bit on your past of you growing up. Obviously, this foundation being Camo and being outside, you had a bringing up of, getting out there in the outdoors, enjoying it. Did you have family, parents, grandparents, other people? What put you there? What did they inspire you to get outdoors?
Yeah, my mom's side of the family was always, I grew up fishing with my grandfather, fox hunting with my grandfather. My uncle deer hunted some. I didn't start deer hunting until I was 12. My dad's side of the family, we have a farm in South Georgia. And so I squirrel hunted and watched the guys go deer hunting and everything, but didn't get into that part of it until, like I said, I was 12. But they were always supportive of me, and I just loved being in the outdoors, whether it be in the woods or be on a boat.
Now, I also know you coming up through school, having that love for the outdoors. I think you and I have touched on it in previous times talking that you graduated high school with the dream of becoming a wildlife biologist to keep yourself in the outdoors. Did that dream come true?
Yes. So read the back chapter page in 10th grade biology book, had a thing about wildlife biologist as a profession. And I said, that's what I wanted to do. So my senior year, Dr. Jeff Gore was a non-game biologist with the Florida Game and Fish Commission at the time. And he came and did a presentation at our high school, and I went and talked to him afterwards. And he put me to the test. My first test to see if I had the guts to do it was to band baby pelicans with him. And they throw up and they poop, and you get covered in it. So I passed the first test, went to the University of Florida, got my degree. And after a stint in Georgia with the Georgia DNR, I've come back home to Panama City, and I've been a biologist with the Florida Fish and Wildlife Commission now for a little over 17 years.
Holy moly. So you've seen a lot of things outdoors, different animals, environment, aquatic. I know you and I also talked about you're really focused into the water area. Tell everybody out there listening a little bit of what that entails. Do you just go to the lake and look at the pretty bushes and go, oh, that's pretty? Or are you really
I wish I could do that. No, I actually manage 53 water bodies across the Panhandle from Pensacola to Tallahassee. Manage those state waters for native diversity and plant species. While I'm doing that, that entails an annual survey each year. So I ride around on an airboat or a surface drive boat and do an inventory of the plants. But then I'm looking for exotic plants so that we can take care of either controlling, treating, coming up with a management plan for them. And then I do a weekly schedule with a contractor to come behind me and do any herbicide treatments that need to be done on the plants on that particular water body.
Okay, so for people out there listening, obviously you're out there checking out all the different plants and trying to do, like you said, the herbicide treatments to kind of understand things. Touch base with us on if we're people out there that are actually enjoying those bodies of water. What is the purpose for that? If I'm a skier and there's a bunch of grass growing out there, that's going to cause problems for my ski boat. But then if I'm a fisherman, I love the grass because it provides a lot of minnows and bait fish and other big fish for me to go catch. How does a guy like yourself make both of us happy?
Yeah, that's part of the process. We're trying to manage for everybody's wants and needs. So, a lake like Lake Miccosukee, east of Tallahassee, there's no open water for skiing, so it's not going to be a big recreational boating kind of lake. It's fishermen and duck hunters. So we cut trails for the boats to be able to access areas. And then we work with our aquatic habitat restoration section. They'll actually carve out places in the cypress and stuff, open areas. And then we maintain the openness so that ducks have a place to come and feed. They're looking for submerged aquatic vegetation with no floating stuff that's blocking the duck's ability to get into the water. So we take care of the floating plants without killing the submerged aquatic that are holding invertebrates and stuff for the ducks to feed on.
Okay, so now being a hunter, fisherman myself, kind of I don't know what I want to call it, selfish question out there is if there's things growing in that body of water, just like I said for the fish, if I love the hydrilla and the coontail and the milfoil and all that great stuff, and my neighbor over here doesn't like it, is it advisable for him to go out there and start pouring chemicals off his pier and kill the grass around his pier?
No, they can treat around their property, their riparian rights, their shoreline. We actually issue a permit that allows homeowners, property owners to treat around their riparian frontage. The major part of the lake, I'm taking care of. We may do it with herbicides. We may do it with, triploid grass carp. So we're trying to manage for everybody's benefits.
Now, that's another one, obviously being a fishing person, I kind of know what you're referring to, but I want everybody out there that's listening for the wildlife biology side of things. Triploid carp, if that's not under my explanation of, that's a carp that can't reproduce, right?
Right. It's a hybrid grass carp that's bred in a fish hatchery that cannot reproduce on its own.
So basically you would go, if we're going to go to one of the Florida lakes and you're going to dump in, 10,000 of these carp, they're going to help eat up a lot of these invasive species of grass and stuff. But then once they reach their lifespan, they're pretty well gone.
Yeah, they do hang around some, the numbers, they'll die eventually of old age. Merritt's Mill Pond in Mariana has an abundance of large carp, and they're no longer, they've gone past that 5 to 7 year lifespan that we get a good working life out of them. And their diet actually changes. They start rooting around in the plants, looking for invertebrates and stuff in the root system. So they'll root up good native plant species. And Jackson County is fixing to hold a carp rodeo for us, do a bow fishing tournament to remove those 40 to 60 pound carp that aren't doing any good anymore. And I just restocked it with 200 10-inch ones.
So, all right. So to now kind of transition us back into this Camo Dreams and you come and bringing, your wildlife biology world into this thing and getting other kids outdoors. And you obviously having a lot of connections all over the place because of your travels with wildlife biology. What does the future of Camo Dreams look like? Where do you see this thing going?
Well, I've got some friends and supporters that we've been discussing, as we grow. The thing that I'm most proud of is that I didn't think of this in 2003 and say, we're going to have state chapters and it's going to be a nationwide organization, and bam, here it is. It's been baby steps. So, we went from 1 kid a year to 3 hunts a year to 6 to 9 hunts a year to now we're doing something just about every month of the year. And some of the guys that are helping now on the financial side, raising money and everything for us, the end goal is for me to be able to retire early, hopefully from the state of Florida, and do this full time, so that I'm visiting hospitals, talking with parents, meeting kids, going to some of the outdoor shows and stuff, getting our name out there more so that we can do more for kids all the time. I could do 2 trips a month instead of 1 trip a month throughout the entire year.
Oh, I got you. Okay, so I understand where you're headed with that. Now, how do what you just said, if you're out there walking around trying to talk to different people, you can only reach so many people. So tell us out here, us viewers that are listening, how do we get in touch with Camo Dreams?
So we have a website, www.camodreamsinc.org. We've got a Facebook page. My email is camodreamsinc@yahoo.com. So they can reach out, send us an email, give us a call, and we'll go from there. If we get lots of parents reaching out to us saying they have a kid that has special needs, they saw us on YouTube or they saw us on Buck Commander, and so they'll reach out and I'll send them an application, and that starts the process.
I got you. All right. So in that process of kids that you've reached out and touched already and been able to send them on these special trips, tell us the first one that comes to mind that's a special trip that went on. You know, somebody that overcome some special need and went out there chasing, sheep.
Gosh, there's there's so many. We could talk. I got 18 years of trips and everything. I'd say the one that stands out probably the most to me was Jason from Oklahoma. It was our first elk hunt. I was not even thinking about elk hunting trips for Camo Dreams, and my buddy Tombo with Buck Commander was doing an elk hunt in New Mexico with Steve West. And Steve has Steve's Outdoor Adventures. He books hunters on trips all over the world. He's got an outdoor show on the Sportsman's Channel now, I think it is. But Tombo called me up and said, "Hey, Steve West wants to do an elk hunt with you." So contacted Steve. Jason's dad actually called me. I was on the way home from Sarah Switzer's hunt in Missouri, and Jason's dad called me and said, "Hey, my son would love to go on a trip. How do we get up with you to do a trip? He'd be great in camp. He's lots of laughs." And so they sent an application, and elk happened to be on his bucket list, on his wish list. So I reached out to Steve. We flew Jason from Oklahoma with his dad out to Boise, Idaho. Boise. And then we drove from Boise to La Grande, Oregon, and got there. Steve was actually stuck in British Columbia. He was hunting caribou himself, and he got snowed into camp. So his camera guys and his guide there in La Grande, this was his personal ranch that we were hunting on. They had everything set up for us, the cabin on the property and everything. They had a blind, and Jason was in a power chair. He has Duchenne's muscular dystrophy. So we loaded him up in the Polaris, ramped his wheelchair up into the back of it, drove out to the blind, got everything set up. He actually shot a bull the first evening, and wolves got on the trail of it and ran it. We never found that one, but they bumped some other bulls in another meadow, came back to the cabin, picked Jason up without his wheelchair, drove the Polaris into the meadow, threw some ghillie material across the front of the Polaris, cow called one time, and a 7x7 walked out in front of the hidden Polaris, and he dropped him in his tracks. So it was an incredible thing that, we say God has a hand in everything that we do, and his hand was on that bull and directed him in front of Jason.
Man, what a story. That's something else for that kid to get exactly what he wanted and his dream to come true. That's pretty inspiring for you guys to be able to, provide that for someone out there. Now, in a way of offering up help, how do people, I know we talked about website and stuff like that. How do people that want to sponsor and reach out, how's the best way to do that? Go to the website?
Yeah, go to the website. They can email from there. If they want to do some sponsorship, if they want to make a donation, there's a link, a PayPal link on the website. They can donate via PayPal or Venmo, or I think our address is even there. If they want to send a check, we'll take that.
Tell us while we got you here, a funny story about yourself or Camo Dreams, something that's a little off the beaten path that people don't know.
All right. Well, we may get some retribution from this because everybody thinks that it was all about the Buck Commander guys, but we did a hunt back in December of 2018. We went to Kansas and had a young man from Texas, Josh Pfluger. He's got Duchenne's muscular dystrophy as well. We were hunting in Kansas. It was an archery trip, so he was using a crossbow. And we were going to surprise him by riding over to the E3 ranch and having dinner with all the buck commanders. They were at Adams Ranch there doing their week-long group hunt in Kansas. So we were going to surprise Josh. Well, we had a lunch break at Luther's convenience store, and the lady that we were hunting on her family's property said that Luke Bryan's favorite beef jerky in the world, it comes from Luther's. It's Luther's beef jerky. So Josh started collecting up some beef jerky, and we were going to share because we thought Luke might actually be in camp at the E3. And so Josh is buying some beef jerky to share and everything. And I look over on the wall, and there's 2 packages, and it says liver jerky.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? Who eats liver jerky? Is this a Kansas thing? And she starts laughing. Amber starts laughing. She's like, no, they're dog treats. So I said, I got an idea. The buck commander guys are always pulling pranks on people. So we peeled the beef jerky label off and the liver jerky label off and stuck the beef jerky label on the liver jerky. And he was going to give it to Luke and say, I got you some beef jerky. Well, Luke wasn't there. So we got Matt Light. He offered him some liver jerky, and Matt actually ate it and said, well, that's not terrible, but we had a laugh about it. Well, on their show, the liver jerky treats are sitting there on the table, and Tyler Farr comes over. I had told all the camera guys to, just keep an eye out on the liver jerky sitting here on the table. So Tyler Farr comes over and he starts eating it. And about his 3rd piece, the camera guy said, what are you eating there, Tyler? And he's like, looks at it and goes, Luther's beef jerky. And he goes, no, those are dog treats. It's liver. So on the video, Jason Aldean's there, and they're ragging on Tyler and everything. And Camo Dreams never got the credit for pulling that prank on somebody, but we were trying to get Luke, and he ended up not being there.
Well, I think we just got you the credit. We'll put it out there now. It's on video now. Can't nobody deny it.
Yep.
So now tell us, Camo Dreams, I know we've kind of covered that you get out there and you're providing something that a kid could dream up in their mind. Have you ever, I know we're talking a lot of different foundations, have you seen what I call the after effects of these things, that you go to these people's property and you take this kid on that elk hunt or Missouri to go hunt deer or wherever, turkeys? What is the effect on the actual people that donate the land and the families involved?
Yeah, that, and right there you said family. We consider Camo Dreams as a family. The kids and families that we take on trips become family. The landowners, the outfitters, everybody becomes family. It's hard to put in words, but I've got a place here locally that we can get to in 30 or 40 minutes, and super great family, wonderful piece of property. I took one of our local kids that I would just take hunting, just me and him, after he had done his dream trip, and he wanted to shoot a deer with his crossbow. It was Bradford. He had Duchenne's muscular dystrophy. I've had 5 boys with Duchenne's now, and Bradford passed away a year ago this month. But Bradford wanted to kill a deer with a crossbow, and so I called Jason up and said, hey, I've got a kid that wants to shoot a deer with a crossbow. He's in a power chair. Can we make that happen? He said, yeah, I've got perfect place. We can set up a ground blind, and to see, it's easy to talk about and to explain things, but when the landowners or the outfitter, gets to see, a kid that they don't understand what they are actually going through until they really see them, because it's easy to talk about and say, well, he can't walk, he's in a power chair, but to see that this kid can't even drive his power chair with his hand, he's got to use a ruler because he doesn't have the strength to reach out and move the joystick, and to see the accomplishment. We set up crossbow on the tripod. We've got the sip and puff. We've got the eye scope on there, and this kid's, all I'm doing is swiveling the crossbow on the horizontal on the tripod, and he's doing everything else. When it's go time, he pulls the trigger. So it really, you see a light in their eyes. You see a passion that they develop. I've got so many stories, and I mean, we could talk for hours. This past season, we ended with trip number 91. So 18 years and 91 trips that I could just talk forever, and people probably get bored listening to us, but since it's hunting and fishing, we could keep going, just the two of us.
Wow. Now that's pretty special in itself. 91 trips. That means there's 91 kids, families, all these people that have been touched by Camo Dreams. That's pretty something to hold on to right there itself. That, what does it make you feel like that you've touched 91 lives?
I'm proud. One of the things that I love the most, it's kind of make me get teary-eyed thinking about my mom. And the reason I started this is Mom always was doing for others. And so that's what I say, as I'm paying it forward. I like to do for others. So being able to impact that many people, and hopefully, in the rest of my lifetime, I can impact, twice that many.
Well, now that kind of brings me to our point here of one of the questions that's our signature series question here on this podcast. Tell me, if things were to end tomorrow, Mr. Derek, what would you hope people read if they had the opportunity to read a book that was written about your life? What would they hope they read in your book?
I would hope that they'd see that, he was a good son, a good father, a good husband, and that he did good for others.
That's pretty well said there. There is one thing that I've seen, and I don't know if you can quote it right off the top of your head, but I've seen it on your Facebook page. What is your quote you have on there?
So we say some kids, some people, gosh, can't even talk today. Some people don't dream in black and white; they dream in camo.
There you go. I mean, to me, that sums up your organization. I think there are a lot of kids out there that love to get out there and just get outdoors, hunting trip, fishing trip, athletic events, something outside. There are kids that love being inside, but there's a whole pile of children that love those, God's great outdoors that he's made out there for all of us to enjoy.
Yep. And we've shared some of the same kids on trips, Noah and Sarah. Those kids and Kaylee love to be outdoors and hunting and fishing. One of the things that I'm really proud of is we've had some kids that didn't know anything about hunting and fishing before they went on a Camo Dreams trip. Bradford, that I spoke about before, he'd shot a pellet gun, riding around in the backyard at his house, but he had never hunted. He had never done anything outdoors like that. And we lit a fire in him. His Camo Dreams trip was in 2012, and depending on his health and how he was doing, he and I went deer hunting. I'd take him to places that I could deer hunt every year since 2012. And I had another little girl from Jacksonville that did the FWC, our Fish and Wildlife Commission's summer camp. And she has cystic fibrosis, never been hunting, never been fishing, did summer camp. The director there reached out to me, and we talked to her parents, and her mom was like, we don't even know anybody that hunts or anything. And it lit a fire in that young lady, that she's been to South Carolina. I've taken her to Texas on an elk hunt. She killed a deer with us, and she just loves getting outside and going hunting now. So I'm really, really proud of all of our kids. Some of them have given it a try. I've got a young man here in town that, went elk hunting, killed an elk in Oregon, free range, humongous 6x7 bull. He's got Duchenne's muscular dystrophy. And at the time, he wasn't in a chair. He could walk some still. And but today he's in a chair, and he's not interested. He might go to the gun range with his dad, but doesn't want to go hunting again. So there's some that have, and there's some that, we lit the fire and it's become a passion for them. So I'm really proud of that.
Well, I mean, what an inspiration, though. I mean, I've been around to watch for years of this story from the back page, I call it, of watching you guys send people on trips and hearing a lot of stories. Like you said, we know some similar kids. Even some of the kids have been on this podcast and told their stories and how great, things they've come through and different organizations they've been. And there's no doubt that Camo Dreams is one of those groups out there that is touching lives, and it's carrying on to others because they've been touched by you and they've gone to another organization and enjoyed time there. But all they wanted to talk about was the Camo Dream trip and how great it was for them. And that just shows me you guys are out there doing some absolutely amazing things. Tell everybody before we go and kind of wrap this thing up again, make sure to let me know how and let them know, how do we get in touch with Camo Dreams?
So you can go to our website, www.camodreamsinc. You can go to our Facebook page, send us a message on Facebook. I think our phone number's on the website. It might even be it is on the Facebook page. So they can call, email, send a message through Facebook.
Okay. Now, and I stole this quote. I want to tell everybody I stole this quote I found off of Mr. Fussell's Facebook page, because I think in all the years I've been following him and keeping up with him, it really sums up who he is. So I just want to read it to you real fast. There is no limit to what a man can do or where he can go if he doesn't mind who gets credit. I think that sums this man up perfectly, and I think that's what makes you, Mr. Fussell, one of the special people, and that's what we enjoy, interviewing special people on our podcast and getting to know their story, is because I truly believe in my heart that you don't mind who gets the credit. You just want to make sure these kids have a good time.
Absolutely.
Well, we thank you again for coming on and enjoying the time on our podcast, and hopefully you'll let us catch up with you in a few years and see where Camo Dreams is going.
Sounds good. Thank you so much, Jim.
All right. For everybody out there listening, make sure to like and subscribe to YouTube page. Also check us out on all our other social medias, and we will catch you on the next episode.